Wow. What a wonderful, wonderful opportunity it is to be together with all of you. And it's nice to get over the nervous part. You know, interviewing a former president of the United States was something I never thought I would do in my life. That wasn't part of the job description of Amway. But in Amway, you get chances to do new things all the time, don't you? And so thanks for your support. I could do that. But more importantly, thanks to President Clinton for his comments and for taking his time to be with all of us here today. I thought he was absolutely magnificent, and I think you feel the same way. Do you not? Yep. You know, this is a incredible experience and such a wonderful opportunity for us to be together, and especially for those of you who may be attending your first Amway meeting. Maybe you're not even in the business. Maybe somebody's just talked to you and invited you to come check it out. I want to make sure you know that you're welcomed and that we're glad that you're here and that we appreciate the time that you've taken to join with us. And I express that to everybody who is here, who has taken this time to come together as part of this meeting, to share some fellowship and to share some friendship and to talk together about this business. You know, an event like this doesn't happen easily, and I want to take a quick moment to thank all of the staff, the Amway staff and the production staff who have done the work to make this event real. Would you please join me in thanking everybody for what they've done? I also want to take the time to thank and congratulate all the new qualifiers that you saw on the stage. And yesterday, when we had our DD meeting, we had even more qualifiers at different levels. And I want to take this moment to especially thank all of our new qualifiers and congratulate you for what you've done and the example that you set for everyone. Congratulations. Help me thank them as well. And you know, the reason that the Amway business can continue on and that we can continue to celebrate new people, young people who are part of this business, is because of the work of the rest of you. Because of the work that so many of you have done to make the Amway business in Japan so successful. The work you've done to create an environment that welcomes people in and that gives us credibility in the marketplace. So for all of you who are here, my thanks. And on behalf of myself, my family, Steve Van Andel and the Van Andel family, and indeed the entire Amway family, we thank you. Domo arigato. Now, I'd like to spend a little time today talking about the Amway business in a little different way. I want to talk about not only the tangible things you can see about Amway, but I want to talk about the idea, the Amway idea. President Clinton mentioned that our relationship, or his relationship really with my father, began when President Clinton was the chairman of the United States Constitution Center in Philadelphia. And my father has served, and now I serve on the board of trustees in that organization. And it is designed to display and talk about the United States Constitution, the body of work that created our country and our government. And during one of my visits in Philadelphia, we had a chance to go and view one of the original documents, one of the original constitutions. There was only a few that were made in those days. And to view the Constitution is quite something, because we want to preserve the paper, we want to preserve the words. And so anywhere it's displayed, there's great care and attention given to how the document is prepared, how it's sealed, how much exposure it has to sunlight, because we want to preserve the paper and the words for as long as we can. And even the experts that were there at that time said, no matter how much technology we apply, at some point, we're not going to be able to preserve these documents anymore, and the words will be gone. And it made me think a little bit about how we as people express what we think. And that in the United States, those who created that document had great debates over their ideas, of the things they were thinking about government and our nation. And what they had to do was try to take those ideas and put them into words that they could write down and communicate. But that's not the only way to express ideas. At Amway, we have a lot of documents that we have created and pieces that we've written down. Words that help us express what we're thinking. But more importantly, whether it's the United States Constitution, any document of importance that tries to express ideas, or even in the Amway business, what's important about these ideas is that they live in our hearts and they become part of our lives and the way that we live. And so I want to take a little time today talking about some of the components of the Amway business. And for those of you who have been in the business for a long time, maybe this will be repetitive for you. I'm sorry. But I always think it's good for us to remember these things. For those of you who may be new or coming to your first meeting, I hope this will serve as an introduction. And maybe some of these ideas will connect with you too. And that you will think and that you will see that maybe this business could be for you as well, and worthy of your time and attention. So that's what I want to talk about. And I want to talk about this because this Amway idea has been helping people live better lives for over 50 years. People all over the world will express stories like you heard from stage today. We'll talk about the things that are different and better in their lives because they were part of this organization, because they worked hard to be successful. But in some way, these ideas were important. And that these ideas have worked globally and apply to everybody. Nobody is cut out. Everybody in the Amway business has an opportunity. And this business was designed to be like that from the very beginning. And that's why I want to talk about some of these things. I want to go through some of these components so that you will understand what this business is really all about in our hearts. So the first thing I would want to express to you is that from a business perspective, the Amway business is all about people. It's all about people. We talk a lot about products. We have the sales and marketing plan. We have a lot of buildings and facilities and computers and machines and incredible infrastructure. And it's really good, it's important. But that's not what this business is all about. This business is all about people. Now, I learned this lesson many, many years ago. We were in Malaysia, And it was one of the very first Amway conventions we had done in Malaysia. And gosh, it's well over 30 years ago now. And during that time there, my father had the opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister of Malaysia. The business was young and it was growing, and the Prime Minister was encouraging economic development in his country, and Dad had a chance to meet with him. And in the course of the meeting, they were talking about general business issues, economic issues, and the Prime Minister said to him, he said, "It's a tough time for us in Malaysia right now." He said, "Our greatest natural resources in Malaysia are copper, tin, and oil. And all those commodities on the world market have pressures on their price, so the price is going down, and that's hurting our economy, and we're having a tough time. Many of our businesses here are suffering." And then he turned to my father and he said, "But your business is growing. You've flown all the way here to have a big meeting with so many people, and I hear your business is growing very well. What's your secret?" And Dad said, "Mr. Prime Minister, you may believe that the greatest natural resources in Malaysia are copper, tin, and oil. But in the Amway business, we believe the greatest natural resources in your country are the people in your country, and Amway invests in people. And the same thing is true here in Japan. We believe in you." The global success of the Amway business, for some reason, has found a way to connect with people all over the world. As Nakajima talks about meeting with other leaders, and the political issues don't matter, the other issues go away. That's a relationship that's formed, and somehow, through this opportunity, we've been able to connect people from all over the world with different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages, different ages. But yet how somehow we're all able to come together in this business. There's a spirit of partnership, of people reaching out and welcoming one another. And I think if you look to your future, I think it's important to know that this business is focused on people, and that it is focused on you, your future, and your opportunity. And I think that's an important part. So that's the first part. The Amway business, this component of this idea, is that it's all about people. Now, we have great products. We have great support. We have great operations. All those things are important. But when somebody comes to visit the headquarters, whether it's in Tokyo or whether it's in Ada, Michigan, the most impactful part of any visit is the chance to be together. That's why an opportunity like this for us to be together is so important to the Amway business. Number one, people. Number two, the second component that I think is important about this Amway idea is that we have a foundation. We know who we are. My dad and Jay Van Andel wrote these things down so we would understand these ideas, and they lived them out in their hearts so we would see them demonstrated. We call them the Founders' Fundamentals. We have a foundation upon which we can build the future. Some organizations don't have that. They may have a hot product or a neat new idea. But Dad and Jay put the foundations of the Amway business in these ideas that are timeless, that move around the world, and they connect with people everywhere. The first thing they talked about was freedom, that fundamental idea, and I'm going to spend more time on that one in a moment. The second thing they talked about was family. and how it's so important to feel part of a unit. Now that's pretty hard in a business where there's millions of people involved. And it may seem pretty funny for you if you're new. Say, yeah, family sounds great, but there's, 40,000 people here. But yet in the way the business is structured, it allows you to connect with a small group of people who know you and who you can get to know. A small group of people with whom you can share your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, and that group of people who will surround you and help you to get there. And you may not ever know the thousands of others that are here in this dome today, but you will have a connection, like a family, to the person who invited you, to the people that you're sitting near. In some way, we can take this huge business and still bring it down to small units so everyone can feel welcomed and supported. The third part in the Founder's Fundamentals is hope. So many times in life, and President Clinton even spoke about it, you read the papers all the time and you see about, well, the economy's stuck, or this problem is still a problem and we haven't fixed it yet. And that's true. But just because we haven't fixed something yet doesn't mean we won't. I loved President Clinton's words about optimism. We should be optimistic. We should be looking to the future. We should be creating and dreaming and thinking about the future. And there's so many times in life where people don't see that. Maybe they didn't grow up with people who encouraged them. Maybe they're not in a spot where they can see that far ahead. My father always would tell us stories about when he was growing up in terrible economic times in the United States, the Great Depression. Throughout all of our history books, you talk about how difficult it was. But he would always speak of his father, and how his father would always talk to him and say, I know it's tough now, but the future is going to be better. Wherever we are, we're not stuck here. We can move through it and go to a better place. That's been the story of Amway. We've had challenges. We've made mistakes. We do things wrong. We're not a perfect company by any means. But whenever we hit a tough spot, we always have hope for the future, and that together we'll get through it. So if you're in a tough spot in your life for whatever reason, I hope that you recognize that a component of this business is that there are people to help you move through it and get to a better place. The last thing in our Founder's Fundamentals in this category is reward. We believe that there's a work-reward balance, that when you do things, you're worthy of being rewarded. You're worthy of coming up here on stage so we can all cheer for you and recognize your accomplishments. And the next year when somebody else is on stage, you're the one cheering for them too. You know, I grew up in the Amway business. Ever since I was born, I was part of events like this. For me, it's normal to be able to be surrounded and cheered by people. But I know for so many in this world, that's not the case. For so many in this world, people try to hold you back, hold you down. But in the Amway business, it's up to us to raise you up, to reward you for your work that you've done, to recognize you and cheer for you for your accomplishments and achievements. And those components of the Founder's Fundamentals give us the foundation so that we can look to the future with confidence. We know who we are. We know what we believe. And those beliefs are timeless, and those beliefs connect to people all over the world. So that's the second component of this Amway idea. The third thing that I want to talk about is the fact that this is a business. And I want you to know why we are so excited about entrepreneurial spirit, about having a business of your own. And this is the connection back to freedom that I was talking about before. This is the connection. And it may seem difficult to grab. Whenever we think of freedom, we think of human freedom or living in a democracy, we think about having a vote, being part of our government. And that's true. But there's more. There's freedom to be able to live the life you want to live. And we believe that economic development enables personal freedom. And that in many cases in life, without economic development, without some level of economic success or economic freedom, it's hard to realize personal freedom. Think about it for a while. Think of the millions of people who wake up every day and they don't know where they're going to eat or what they're going to eat. They don't know where they're going to stay at night. They don't know if they can care for their children. They don't have the ability to live freely. They are bound by the constraints of daily survival. To them, whether they have a vote or whether they live in a free society doesn't have that personal impact. In the Amway business, we believe that that element of economic freedom is good because it leads and it justifies or it enables personal freedom. Those two are connected. And I think this is a point that's important to work through a little bit. A number of years ago, I read a study that was completed, and it talked about all the world's problems, much in the way President Clinton was talking about the challenges that the world faces. And it would say, of all the world's problems, which one should we try to fix first? How would we prioritize them? And if we were going to address an issue, what would be number one? It's a big list, right? Energy policy, environmental issues. You have wars being fought around the world, hunger, disease, these terrible issues. This group of Nobel laureates and global experts came back and said the number one thing that we should work on in the world is economic development. Because until people have a level of economic freedom, they won't even worry about the problems that the world is facing. Think about that. If you don't know what you're going to eat tomorrow, it's hard to worry about whether a nation's fighting a war somewhere else. If you don't know what you're going to eat, it's hard to worry about societies when they don't know what they're going to eat. If you don't know about the future of your children, it's hard to get too concerned about education. If you don't know if your children are going to survive, it's hard to be too concerned about disease in faraway lands. It isn't until the world understands or gets a piece of economic freedom that we can put our attention really to experience personal freedom so that we can, in turn, help others. And I bring this issue out and I talk about it a lot. And people would come back to me and criticize us as a business, as entrepreneurs, and when we talk so much about success and being successful, and they say, all you're interested in is money. And I have to talk about that too. That's not the case. You've heard that from people here. Money is a tool. Money is important. But there's two things about money that you know and I know, right? It won't make you happy, and you can't take it with you. Money is limited. It is an enabler through economic freedom to enjoy lives and live a fulfilling life of personal freedom. Now, it's interesting, this concept, because a lot of study has been done on this. And I have a friend who wrote a book on it in the United States, and he talked about the science the science of happiness. What really makes somebody happy? And he was able to prove scientifically that it wasn't money. Although at first, when they surveyed people, that was the answer everybody went to. And the number that they gave was 20% more. Kind of interesting, isn't it? I would just be happy if I had 20% more money. And then when people would achieve that, they still weren't happy. And they said, I need 20% more. And they kept repeating that. So that wasn't the key. He found in his research that the key to happiness is earned success. You may use money as a measure. You may use a pin level in Amway as a measure. You may use a promotion at work as a measure. But it was earned success. If you started in one place and you set a goal and you worked to achieve it, that had the greatest correlation to happiness of any other activity. What do we do in Amway every day? We talk about setting goals. We talk about hard work. We celebrate achievement along the way. And we understand the role of a business opportunity and the role of money as an enabler to help us enjoy and experience personal freedom in our lives and in the lives of others. Key concept. And I hope especially for those of you who are new, when you see this business, when you're introduced to this business, I hope you see it in the leaders here. I hope you understand that they understand the proper role and the proper balance. Even though we spend a lot of time talking about business success, we know that economic success leads to our personal freedom. And that's why it's important. Those two need to stay together. And I think understanding that concept is a critical piece of understanding the Amway idea. So I hope that resonates with you as well. The fourth thing that I would want to talk about, the fourth element of this Amway idea that I think is important to share with all of you, is what I just touched on. With economic success, economic freedom, comes personal freedom, your ability to do what you want. But in Amway, we believe true freedom comes when you start to share that gift with others. Huge piece. Years ago, we ran an advertising campaign in the United States, a long time ago. And we said, the Amway business turns the business world upside down. Turn the business world upside down. Now, we're a big business. We use all the business principles that you can imagine, everything you see that's written in economic magazines or ideas or books that are published. We use all those good business things. But our fundamental concept turns the business world upside down. Let me explain that. In every business, there's usually a fight to get to the top. And if one person is at the top, the other people can't be there. Somebody wins, somebody loses. Somebody is promoted, somebody stays the same. In the Amway business, there's no limit to who can be on top. We haven't set a limit for how many Crown Ambassadors there can be. We haven't set a limit for how many diamonds there can be. Every one of you could achieve these levels if you're willing to do the work that others have done. Every one of you. We haven't put limits. We haven't tried to hold people down. The whole idea of the Amway business is to lift people up. And our business is structured, configured to do just that. You understand our measure of success, right? The measures of success, those who are seated in the front, those who are walking on the stage, those who we are cheering, are successful because they have helped many other people be successful first. That's how our business is structured. That's a huge component for what sets us apart from everyone else. When we talk together, when we work together with the top leaders of this business, our agenda is to say, how do we help other people be successful? Because if the newest people in the Amway business are successful, then the others in the organization will be successful and the company will be just fine. Our whole idea of success is focused on the new person, on the person getting started, on the person setting their goals, and the person who is earning success from wherever they may be to wherever they want to go. That's fundamentally built into this business. And I've seen people in my experience when they've tried to just take care of themselves, their business falls apart. The greatest leaders are those who are the greatest servants, who are continually reaching out and helping and encouraging and supporting others in their journey before they think about their own journey. What an incredible thing that in this business we can truly say we're all in this together, and that your ability to be successful is determined by you and the goals you set and the work that you're willing to do. The opportunity is available to everybody. And all of us in this business are reaching out to help and assist and support in whatever way we can. The only thing that we cannot do is build your business for you. There's a level of initiative. There's a level that only you can do. And we want to help you realize that. We want to help you realize the talents, the skills, the ambitions that you have for yourself. And through this business, help you turn those things into reality so that you can enjoy the fruits of your hard work and enjoy your success, and join us in immediately turning around and helping others to do the same. So those are the 4 components of this Amway idea that I wanted to share with you. It's all about people. Those founders' fundamentals, that foundation upon which we build this business and which gives us confidence to look for the future. The whole idea that economic freedom leads to personal freedom. That's why a business opportunity and why this entrepreneurial spirit is so important to us. And fourthly, this idea of reaching out and helping other people be successful, lifting others up to a place. Those things are important. And I've seen them come together, and I've taken the time to try to express them to you, and I do it having the opportunity to live in this business, to grow up in this business, to be able to experience it everywhere I've turned, everywhere I've looked. And this meeting is a time for us to understand it and move it forward. Many years ago, one of the very first experiences I had in Amway in my career as I was working at the company was to move to Europe. And I was early in my career, and I was very nervous about taking this step. I'd never lived outside of the United States. I had no knowledge and no experience. I was pretty nervous about the whole thing. But Jay Van Andel invited me into his office to talk to me about my assignment. And he just wanted to share some words of encouragement with me. And so he went through, he invited me in, and he said, I know you might be a little nervous, and I understand all that. And he tried to give me some advice of things that we needed to do. And then at some point in the conversation, he said, you know, Doug, I'm really counting on you to do a great job over there. And my mind stopped because I was so nervous. I remembered those words. And I wanted to say to him, say, really? You're counting on me? Really? So, Jay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared to death. I've never had an assignment like this before. I don't have any experience. I'm so nervous. Luckily, I didn't say anything of those like that to Jay. I kept my mouth quiet. But I thought about that. And during my assignment, I thought about that meeting often. And when my time was done, and after a couple of years, we were coming back home for another role with the company, I thought about that meeting again. And I realized that Jay wasn't just talking to me, and he wasn't just talking to me about that assignment, but that if he were here today, he would be saying the same to you. He'd be saying, I'm counting on you. Counting on you to understand the Amway idea. Counting on you to put people first. Counting on you to build on this foundation of ideas that have stood the test of time. These values that are so important and that resonate with people around the world. Counting on you to know the proper balance of using economic freedom to enable personal freedom. Counting on you to share these ideas with other people that you meet and to help them be successful first. Counting on you. Those would be the words. Those would be the words that Jay would say, that my dad would say, that I'm going to say, and that Amway leaders all over the world say. Whenever we're with somebody, we're counting on you. We know you can do it. We know you can move forward. And we encourage you to take that step. And I know that as we work together, we will be able to accomplish great things because we will understand that these ideas are not just ideas written down on paper, but they live in our hearts. And I'm excited to build the future of the Amway business together with all of you. Thank you, everybody. Domo arigato. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
ダグ会長、ありがとうございました。Chairman of Amway Japan, Doug Davis. Thank you very much.